Okay, calm down. Welcome to part 5.
A long and boring conversation about nothing until Bud opens what he believes is a case full of money. In reality, it is +1 black mamba. The snake this time, not the character. As Bud lies dying on the floor, we then get to hear a long, boring history lesson about the snake and its venom.
Lines, motherfucker! Read between them! Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Serenity now. Okay. Seriously, I'm not mad, but read between the lines. What matters isn't the history of the black mamba, the snake. Although I do think this little bit here is another wonderful bit of random shit that Quentin Tarantino manages to cram into every movie. What matters is the manner in which Elle is delivering this speech to Bud as he's writhing around on the floor, waiting to die. The way she subtly implies that he might find a way out of it and then snatches that away. Just a little bit more. And if that's not enough, there's another little subtle clue to this woman's character.
However, the black mamba can deliver as much as 100 to 400 milligrams of venom from a single bite. Now, in these last agonizing minutes of life you have left, let me answer that question you asked earlier more thoroughly. Right at this moment, the biggest R I feel is regret. Regret that maybe the greatest warrior I have ever met her end at the hands of a bushwhacking, scrub, elky piece of shit like you. That woman deserved better.
Hey, bitch, remember this?
One condition.
What?
She must suffer to her last breath.
You didn't say, let's take her to Bill. You didn't say, I want to face her in a fair fight. You didn't even have the guts to fly down there and whack her yourself. You had Bud do it. And don't tell me that you're not capable of killing in cold blood.
Dying in our sleep is a luxury that our kind is rarely afforded.
But what do you say when Bud does what you couldn't do?
That woman deserved better.
However, instead of just killing each other in this fight to the death, they stop and talk to one another about bullshit. Turns out Pai-Mei took Eye Patch Girl's eye for calling him names, but the joke was on him because she poisoned him, which for a guy who rips someone's eye out just for being cheeky seems a little too good for.
No! Pai-Mei ripped her eye out because she's an insolent bitch. It's a character flaw.
That's right, we have a fight with two characters, one of whom hasn't been developed at all, and the other who has been developed by neglect.
Oh, fuck you, buddy. While we're here, though, I want to point out something that I think some people may have missed. Elle made a pretty big mistake here.
Bill, I have some tragic news. Your brother's dead. I'm so sorry, baby. She put a black mamba in his camper.
The bride would never have killed Bud in such a snakish way, if you'll pardon the pun. But I think Bill would have known this, and I don't think he'd be terribly happy about it. I know Bud and Bill hate each other, but they're still brothers.
I know we haven't spoken in some time. And the last time we spoke wasn't the most pleasant. But you've got to get over being mad at me and start becoming afraid of you, because she is coming, and she's coming to kill you. And unless you accept my assistance, I have no doubt she will succeed.
This is for breaking my brother's heart.
Honestly, if she actually made it out of there alive, I think Bill would have made a puppet out of her using his Hattori Hanzo sword. And again, this just goes to show you who Elle is. She's great. She's really great at what she does. None of us could take her on, but she's not quite as good as she thinks she is. She has flaws. She has deep, deep flaws. And it's hilarious, fitting, and poetic what happens to her. That egomaniacal bitch killed by her own flaws. And not just the physical flaw of having one eye, although it does help to underline the larger point of her personal flaws. She also is stuck in a room with the snake that she put there. or maybe she can go wander around flying to the desert till she dies of dehydration. Take that, you sadistic fucking bitch. No one else in this movie had it coming more, except maybe Captain Rapist.
Where's Bill?
Please stop hitting me.
Where's Bill?
So then the bride visits a guy whose only job it is in the film to say, here's where you can find Bill. So naturally we get a bunch of backstory about his character and his profession and his age, and a long boring story about how he used to take Bill to the movies when he was a kid. And a bunch of other shit that has nothing to do with this movie.
Elle's personality traits were that she was an unsympathetic, horrible, sadistic, pure evil bitch who lacked any sense of honor and integrity. Everyone who liked that movie was cheering at her death. That's a tone that Quentin Tarantino needs to change for the final confrontation with Bill. Elle is not Bill. Therefore, carrying over the emotions from Elle straight to Bill is going to lead to a train wreck. That's why this scene is here, to slow things down and to get us interested again in the character of Bill. And for someone who complained a whole lot about there not being anything about why the bride and Bill were in love, you seem to not have any interest in a scene in which we see Bill as a real person and in which we kind of get why the bride was in love with him in the first place.
Yep, we've come a long way to get to this point, and now she's finally gonna take that big man-splitting sword and use it on the one person she got the sword to... Oh, now she brings a gun! Oh, of course! She went all the way to fucking Japan and tracked down the man who could make her the most man-splitting sword in the universe so that she could come here and kill Bill with a gun! What was the goddamn assing fucking point of getting that stupid sword in the first place? She's barely used the damn thing in 2 movies. And she's not even going to use it to do what she said she was getting it for in the first place, to kill Bill. Fuck you, movie. You can't just drop guns into this thing whenever the fuck you feel like it. She's either going to use a gun or she's not. And if she was going to use a gun to make the last kill, she could have and would have been using a gun this whole time. So to everyone who's been writing into me about the gun issue, saying that I only need to exercise a little suspension of disbelief, this scene is my reply. I certainly could have if it hadn't been for that. You can't just change the rules at the tail end of the film and still expect me to believe that she would have been using a sword this whole time. Bullshit!
Do you remember how I described the nature of a sword fight? How it's a test of strength and skill, as well as wits and nerve? Where one slip, one hesitation means your life, especially with the quality of the swords they're using here. where you have to look your opponent in the eye and kill them before they kill you. Do you also remember how I described the bride's character as someone who does not know fear or remorse or pity or pain or hesitation? That's not 100% true. You see, we're getting something in this movie we don't get to see very often in cinema. An actual character. A character with layers. Do you want to know why she brought that gun? That punk way out? The, hey, let's blast a cap in his ass and then run away weapon? She's afraid. She wasn't afraid of this fight, or this hideously long fight, or this fight. She was a little afraid of this, but it didn't break her. And she wasn't afraid of this either. But Bill scares her. And with good reason. And when she shows up for the fight, when she finally confronts Bill, it's more terrifying than she ever imagined possible.
Freeze, Mommy.
Bang, bang! Oh! Oh! She got us, baby. Mom got us. Oh, I'm dying.
I'm dying.
Calm down, sweetheart. They shot us.
She's not afraid to die. She's not afraid to kill. But now she has her daughter back, and the imminent threat of having her ripped away again. And she has to confront the man she loves, and this time she can't hide behind violence. She has to directly confront him and answer to him. God damn, this movie is amazing.
It would be pointless for me to play you any of these conversations as they are so inane.
Sacrilege.
We are forced to watch them watch a movie.
Shogun Assassin is the movie they are watching. It was banned in the United States until 1983. It follows a small child growing up with his father who lives in a world of extreme violence. Remind you of anything? Quentin Tarantino is assuming that people watching this movie are smart. Please don't give Hollywood any more fucking excuses to make shit like Transformers.
This, more than any other part of the movie, is the point where all the air is just let out of the room. Not only do we get zero useful information during this Q&A...
I think people have seen me reference this part of the movie enough to know that that's bull.
For the last minute, the bride finally makes her move. No, she doesn't go for the sword. She instead does a fancy move she learned by the asshole that trained her. It makes it so that the victim can only take a few steps before their heart explodes. These reviews have been a mixture of what I believe to be objective, as well as just plain personal issues with these films. The personal issues are completely my problem. It's just that discussing them became unavoidable when reviewing both movies in their entirety. I already don't like the kinds of films that these were inspired by, and these movies are a good example of why I don't like them. I can't stand indulgent entries into a great filmmaker's work, although I think every filmmaker of this stature is entitled to make at least one, and I'm not the biggest Lucy Liu fan in the world. Although I think that personal dislike may have caused some unnecessarily mean comments towards her. Sorry, Lucy. Feel free to stick your Lubots on me. The objective problems I have with these films mainly lie in the structure, and for me, it just proves something that validates the importance of a good editor. A poorly structured movie can always equal a bad movie, no matter how good the material inherently is. There is definitely a good film series in here somewhere. It's just that for the first time in his career, Tarantino didn't put this together in an order that would have made that series shine. It was simply a mess.
And while I think you're completely wrong about the structure, largely because you don't understand the film, I do recognize this movie just isn't for you. And that's why you don't get it. It's kind of like trying to feed a vegetarian red meat. It just doesn't work. Me, if it's not bleeding, It's not a fucking meal.